It's me, Tia. I wanted to make this video an informational video because I've got a lot of questions about what about reserves Coast Guard? What do you do for the Coast Guard joining wise? Like, what does that look like? And honestly, I think this was prompting me to give rather a video than a single response because I feel like that could answer a lot of questions for you out there. So I got the question about what it looks like to be a reservist and you have no military experience, you have no one in your family who has ever told you about military and all that stuff, and you're curious. So I had that question, and I did a little bit of research and reached out to recruiters to get better answers. So I hope those are sufficient enough, but if you need more, obviously you can always reach out to your local recruiter, or you can also reach out to me and I'll try my best to explain everything to you as well. So when you are trying to go reserves, you're gonna have a 6-year enlistment. So this is for the enlisted side. I know a lot of you don't know what that means either. So when you're a civilian and you are a citizen of the United States, you can either go enlisted, which is more like hands-on, and you can go officer, which is more like supervisor, rework, and you have to have a degree for that if you're a reservist. So I don't know much about details about that route yet to go officer right off the street as a reservist, but enlisted wise, I can tell you a little bit more about it. So like I said, it's a 6-year enlistment, which means you go through your recruiter, you fill out your paperwork, you do a background check, you go through, like medical records, tattoos, which I want to mention that the Coast Guard now has new tattoo rules. So as you can see, I have hand tattoos and tattoos all over my body, nothing on my neck, so you can't have anything there. You can have something behind your ear, which is I think 1 inch, and your hand is 2.5 by 2.5, and you can have one tattoo between your knuckle and your finger knuckle right here. So it has to be in between. So this is good to go. I love it because I wanted to have a hand tattoo for a really long time. Really happy with those changes. So again, you go to your recruiter, you fill all that out, they run you through the whole screening. Then you go and take your ASVAB. So that is like a test that you take. It has math in it, arithmetic reasoning. There's some mechanical stuff in there. Like, it's just basic knowledge, and I would recommend you prepare for it if you haven't been in school for a long time. So I joined when I was a little bit later, so I had to definitely look up a little bit of math and how to do that without a calculator, because I know that's difficult. So definitely prepare for that. Then you have your 8-week boot camp. So they're gonna give you a ship date, and as a reservist, you can ship with all the shipmates that are going active duty as well, or reservists as well. So like I said, it's 8 weeks. What that exactly entails, I wrote it down. You can be a male or a female, obviously. And I'm just gonna say the under 30 ones. If you're older, just reach out to me if you want to know more. But if you're a male under 30, it's gonna be 29 push-ups, 38 sit-ups, a 1.5 mile run in 12 minutes and 51 seconds, and a 12-minute swim in 500 yards for males. So for females under 30, it would be 15 push-ups, 32 sit-ups, 15 minutes and 20 seconds run for a 1.5 mile, and then a 400-yard swim in 12 minutes. So I know from experience speaking, a lot of people have struggles with the swim and sometimes also with the run. So if you feel like you're in a pickle with that and you need training for that, personal training, I would gladly offer that. I mean, I don't know your schedule, but I'll try my best to give you tips and hints and how to get it through. I've been an athlete my entire life, so I can hopefully give you some insight of how to get fit and prepare you for that. But that should be the least of your worry. It's really not that difficult if you're prepared. So like I said, that's happening twice in your 8 weeks that you have to get these standards to get further. So going back to the recruiting, I wrote a little list down of what it really entails. Sorry, that was my dog. So as a reservist, you cannot be a non-raid. That means you have to pick your raid right there and then when you are with your recruiter. That's a little bit different than going active duty. You have 2-year time frame approximately of choosing what you really want to do. It's really helpful if you're unsure. I was not a citizen, so those things are a little bit different, which I might be getting into later. But if you were a citizen and you want to be a reservist, you cannot be a non-rate, meaning you have to pick your rate. Sometimes there's bonuses for reservists as well, but for example, someone reached out to me from Miami, and currently there are no bonuses for starting. So as a reservist, no bonuses in Miami. But TRICARE, healthcare, is definitely a good option for Coast Guardsmen because it's going to be for reservists under $50 a month to have really, really good health insurance. Then we have, for other districts other than Miami, BM, ME, and MK, which is boatswain's mate, maritime enforcement, and machinery technician. Those three possibly in some states and cities have a $15,000 sign-on bonus. So that's going on right now. I can't tell you exactly where those states and cities are, but that's what it is right now. So as a reservist, you have to have 2 weeks in the summer as your obligation and 2 days within the month. So like I said, every month twice, and then in the summer 2 weeks. And you would get paid for accommodation for that. It's called BAH for us. So for those times, wherever you live, you will get that money back. If you're in Miami or really like any port that has more duties that are calling, I would say you can always go on extended active duty orders if you're a reservist. So if you want to go on a patrol, if you want to go down to, I'm not sure, Puerto Rico or something, then you could ask for an extension into active duty, which would be paid for you. Then we have TA, tuition assistance for reservists as well. So they apply as well for active and reservists the same. So it's going to be $4,500, which is $200 more than last year for the next year. So $4,500 for an entire year you can use for your school. However, there's a $250 cap for every credit. So just make sure that you're choosing a school where you can afford going to. Right now I'm in a school and I have to pay extra because I joined before I joined the Coast Guard. So I went to Missouri, for example, and I have to pay a lot of money on top. I would not recommend that. So like I said, $4,500 per year and $250 per credit is your limit. So reservist is a little bit different with the GI Bill. That is something that will pay for your college after or for your dependents. But for reservists, after your 6 years are over, you only get 40% of that. So just make sure you're aware of that. There's some more benefits in other branches. Like the Army has a great payback for school, for example, has a better opportunity if you really want to have school paid for. There are branches with more money, and if that's something that you want, definitely look into that as well. I don't want to sway you to go into the Coast Guard, but just make sure that you know if you get activated as a reservist that you might go to a place that you really don't want to go to. You know, you might be in a place where you go to Afghanistan, or maybe not Afghanistan, but some critical places where it wouldn't be something that you would like to do rather than, actually I want to say a quote to that. The recruiter who talked to me was Petty Officer Deanna Martin, soon to be Led Kiewicz. I'm so sorry if I say that wrong, but she told me that a health science technician told her once that it is much easier to stay alive than take a life. Just let that sink in and make your choices up on that if you're choosing a branch. So the Coast Guard is Homeland Security, and other branches have other duties than the Coast Guard. So I just want to make you aware of that too. I hope that cleared it up a little bit for reservists. I can definitely do more research about how it would be if you would be interested in the officer route. If you have a degree, a lot of people are more appealed to that, to go officer route. In my own experience, I just want to give you that as well. I am active duty and I joined as an enlisted personnel, and I would have not done that if I would have been a citizen. So it is a little bit different if you're not a citizen. I had a green card, so that got me in. So you cannot not have a green card and then try to join. You have to have some sort of legal document that tells you can work in the United States. So I had my green card that I paid for myself, that I worked for 2 years, and had lawyers helping me through it. So that's something to consider as well. That's why I could not have joined as an officer, because I simply was not a citizen. So if you're in a position where you're feeling like your language skills might be in the way, like for example, me too, I could not speak English as well as I do right now. Thankfully, my job helped me a little bit to get over that threshold to being forced to speak. So if you're a Spanish speaker, for example, I hope that your buddy will translate what I'm saying, but there is definitely Spanish linguists in the Coast Guard right now trying to help you out. So I can tell you where they are. They are in Corpus Christi, Texas, El Paso, Fresno, Miami, New Orleans, San Juan, and Tampa. And if you need help with that, reach out to me. I will give you the names and we'll reach out for you to those people. I know it's difficult to have a language barrier, but you'll make it through if that's what you really want to do, you know? Going into the next topic of talking about active duty. So right now we have some signing bonuses, which don't ever let those signing bonuses like sway you a certain way of what rate you want to go, you know, like money is really temporary, it comes and goes. So really do what you want to do. And with that said though, I want to talk about critical ratings. You could get, you know, $75,000 if you go, for example, as a cook. Higher education credits currently are $15,000 if you join active duty, I say it again. So if you have a bachelor's degree, you will have a sign-on bonus for $15,000 waiting for you after you're done with boot camp. Then I can't really say that word, but a fast shipping, so you go to your recruiter and say, hey, I want to go like tomorrow, you will get a $10,000 sign-on bonus. And like I said, for reservists, somewhere in the States, there's opportunities to join for $15,000. So if you feel like, man, I have my buddy here, I really want to join with him or her, and you want to go through all the struggle together, which I think is great, that's possible. It's called the Buddy Program, and it's guaranteed that you both go, you know, through the same struggle together. So if you go to your recruiter, just tell them that you have someone and you really would like to take them with you. Another thing that's great, if you are after boot camp, you kind of miss your family, which is completely normal. Don't feel bad about that. There is hometown recruiting possible. So let's say you came out of Mobile, Alabama, right? You were done with boot camp and you're like, man, I really want to go home. You can go home for 2 weeks, sometimes extended depending, you know, on your assignment, but you can pretty much be the force of recruiting and kind of like try to get people to join, or if someone has interest and wants to join, you know, that would be your job wherever you recruited out of. So that would be your city. You could live with your parents or your friends, whoever is there, you know, when you join. But those would be opportunities. So, you know, there is, like I said, there's a lot of signing bonuses, and there is, for example, what I'm doing right now, I work with OSs, Operations Specialists, and there's currently a $40,000 sign-on bonus. So, and additionally to that, you can also choose your city. So let's say you really want to stay with your parents, which if that's what you really want to do and everyone tells you, no, you should see the world, blah, 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 do what you want. I know it is important to like branch out and like, you know, spread your wings and all, but if your family is your highest priority, do what you want. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. So if that's not what you want, you know, operations specialist, you pick your city, you get $40,000 after you're done with boot camp. And it looks like you can go on cutters, which are like, you know, large boats, air stations where the helicopters and planes are. You can go to training centers where you would come out of. You can go overseas to Bahrain. Then we have vessel traffic services. We have the Commandant's office or even the White House. So just, you know, if you have questions about the operations specialist rating, just reach out to me. It is not an easy job. I would say it is a very, very difficult job. So pick your rate wisely is what I'm saying. If that's something you're interested in, go for it. It's definitely not something that I would like to do, but I know there's people who really enjoy it and they love to save lives that way, so I am glad that we have people like that. And maybe you're one of those, but I think that's where I'm going to cut the video now. I hope that gave you a little bit of an idea of what it means. It's really hard to understand if you're not affiliated with the military, which I wasn't either. I had no clue what that really meant to be enlisted or officer, and I'm sure you might be in the same place right now. So I know I talk a lot right now about this, but I think it is important to understand what is expected of you, what you would receive. Money is not everything, but if you only want to join for a short time, maybe money is everything, and your GI Bill is everything, and your family and all that. So if you have more questions, please feel free to reach out to me. I'm going to be here for y'all, and I hope that cleared it up for you for the Miami and reservist route, and I wish you a wonderful night.